Okay, let's do this. So, good evening, everyone. I am Fanny Panella, and this is my husband, Patrick, and we are the owner of the wine bar Bean 152 and the restaurant Chez. Nous. So tonight, so tonight we have decided to talk about the inspiration behind our little 36-seat restaurant Chez Nous and how it came to life. So for me, it started years ago when I read this book, Chez Moi, which was about a woman who opened this tiny little restaurant in Paris, which had a community table, and she would serve one lunch and one dinner, but it would be the same menu for everyone. And it really hit me, and I decided that one day I wanted to open a restaurant like that.
This is the, can you guys hear me?
Here, babe.
This is the other inspiration for our restaurant. It's called La Laiterie. This was the very first meal I ever had in Paris. We got in really late one day, and we walked in, and it was a tiny little room. They had a menu on the board. I think I remember I had foie gras au torchon and blood sausage, and I immediately fell in love. I thought, this is how restaurants should be, where you come in, and all you get is a couple of choices, but you know it's going to be great. And there was a small family running the restaurant, and they were nothing but convivial. And that was my first taste of kind of what I thought a true restaurant should be.
So the inspiration behind the food at Chez Nous is where my family and I come from. I was born in Paris when I grew up, but I grew up in the southeast of France, in Nice, right by the Italian border. But all my family is from Carcassonne, which is a small town in the southwest of France, which is about 2 hours from the Spanish border. We wanted to showcase the similarities between the cuisine of these border countries, because often you find the exact same dishes but with different names. They also share and grow the same ingredients and have a similar climate, which is reflected in the food of each country.
So for years we wanted to open this restaurant. We thought, this was one of our bucket list ideas, but we had no idea where we wanted to do it. We didn't even know if we wanted to do it in Charleston. We didn't know what kind of building. And then in 2012, we bought this old rundown Charleston single for next to nothing. And I said to Fanny, hey, maybe we should open that restaurant in here. And she goes, absolutely not. There's no way I would ever do that. So I was like, fine, and this is it. And I understand it makes no sense whatsoever to open a restaurant in there. But we couldn't figure out what to do with this property. And then 6 months later, we're just hanging out, and Fanny said, what if we put a restaurant in there? And I was like, wow, that's a great idea. And that's kind of how it got started.
So once I had this great idea, I suggested Jill Matthias as our chef. I met Jill at Bean 152, where we used to work behind the bar every night. And one day I asked her if I could come and stage with her at Carolina's, where she used to work. And she said yes, and that's where I really got to know her and her husband, Juan Casale. And it was at Carolina that I discovered how passionate they were about food and what hard workers they were. They were also great personalities. They had also great personality and were so much fun to be around. I just thought she would be the perfect fit for Chez Nous and a great partner. So I asked her if she wanted to be our chef and partner.
So, of course, she said yes. And our pug dog, Armando, gave her the final approval, so we knew we could actually do this. In case you don't know us, our dog rules our lives, and that's Armando. So now the hard part started, because it was going from a dream to reality. And the reality of opening a restaurant, it's not fun, it's all work. So we assembled a team, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention the guy in the corner there, Chris Kellogg. He's the other part of our team. He is responsible for the majority of probably how the design of the interior of the restaurant looks. He's our so-called arbiter of good taste, and he's a real pain in the ass in every way possible, but that's why it looks so good inside.
So here's our team minus me. And so after we decided to do this, Patrick and I came up with this crazy idea that Jill and Juan would have to come up with 1,200 recipes for the restaurant that were authentic dishes from France, Italy, and Spain. I don't remember how we came up with that number, but we decided not to open the restaurant until we had these recipes. So every Thursday for like a year, we will meet at our apartment for about 8 hours, and they will bring ingredients and cook dishes, and we will sit around and critique the dishes with this form that we had created that made everyone grade the dish in a bunch of different ways. It was kind of insane if you think about it, but we still have the binder separated by country with all the recipes.
So these meetings were pretty intense, as you can imagine, and we talked about not just the food, but everything from choosing chairs to, what kind of sconces Chris wanted to put on the wall. And And it was tough, I have to tell you, especially because we were working full time and doing some of the demo work ourselves, which is not fun, by the way. But we felt like in order to do justice to this house, we had to peel back the layers carefully to really find out what was worth saving in this beautiful house from 1835.
So, okay. So here we go. This is a shot of the downstairs dining room bar area during demo, and you can see the state of the building. It's hard to get a sense of what was worth saving, but there was actually quite a lot of the original structure that had character. It was built in 1835, and it has these really amazing white planks hard pine floors and a chimney running through the middle of it. This is another shot of the bar area. It's hard to imagine that we look at this and thought to ourselves that a restaurant would be a good idea. But somehow we did. And the whole idea in general for the restaurant, like a daily changing menu with only 2 apps, 2 entree, and 2 dessert on a tiny, hard-to-find alley in a not very established neighborhood was kind of crazy.
But this was the result. So it worked out. And the one thing we didn't realize what amazing natural light would come in. And some of you may know our Instagram account. We take pictures of the food every day, and everyone asks us, oh, who takes your pictures? Who takes your pictures? Anybody could take pictures and make it look good in there. We just got so lucky. And really, that's kind of what we wanted to say, is we really got lucky. We have the best partners in the world, and somehow we all work our asses off and make this insane idea work, and we just feel extremely lucky.